1. Clean your finger before you point at my spots. Here's what that really means. Before you criticize someone else's flaws, make sure you yourself are free of similar imperfections. It's a call for self-reflection and against hypocrisy. 2. Search others for their virtues, thyself for thy vices. This quote reminds us that you should focus on finding the good qualities in others, while diligently examining and addressing your own shortcomings. It promotes self-improvement and a positive outlook on others. 3. Critics are our friends. They show us our faults. Here's what that really means. View criticism as a valuable tool for growth, as those who point out your errors are actually helping you identify areas for improvement. 4. Fart for freedom, fart for liberty, and fart proudly. This quote reminds us that this humorous and satirical quote is a call for embracing personal freedom and individuality without shame, even in socially unconventional ways. 5. Thinking aloud is a habit which is responsible for most of mankind's misery. Here's what that really means. Speaking one's thoughts without prior reflection or consideration often leads to misunderstandings, conflicts, and unfortunate outcomes. It warns against thoughtless speech. 6. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. This quote reminds us that maintaining good health through simple, consistent preventative measures can help you avoid more serious health problems and the need for medical intervention. 7. Experience keeps a dear school, but fools will learn in no other, and scarce in that. Here's what that really means. Learning from personal experience is often costly and difficult, but some people only learn this way, and even then, they struggle to grasp the lessons. It highlights the value of learning from others' mistakes. 8. If you give up your freedom for safety, you don't deserve either one. This quote reminds us that sacrificing fundamental liberties in exchange for a false sense of security ultimately leads to losing both. True safety depends on maintaining freedom. 9. Joy is not in things, it is in us. Here's what that really means. Happiness and contentment come from within oneself, from one's own attitude and perspective, rather than from external possessions or circumstances. 10. If you do tomorrow what you did today, you will get tomorrow what you got today. This quote reminds us that to achieve different results or make progress, you must change your actions. Continuing with the same behaviors will only lead to the same outcomes. 10. If passion drives, let reason hold the reins. This quote reminds us that while strong emotions can motivate you, your decisions and actions should always be guided and controlled by logical thought and good judgment. 11. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Here's what that really means. You cannot achieve any success or acquire anything of value without taking risks or putting in effort. Opportunity requires initiative. 12. He that speaks much is much mistaken. This quote reminds us that those who talk excessively are more prone to making errors, misstatements, or revealing their ignorance. It suggests that speaking less leads to fewer mistakes. 13. To all apparent beauty's blind, each blemish strikes an envious mind. Here's what that really means. An envious person often fails to appreciate the good qualities in others and instead focuses solely on their flaws or imperfections. 14. He that won't be counseled can't be helped. This quote reminds us that if someone refuses to listen to advice or guidance, it becomes impossible to assist them, as they must be open to help for it to be effective. 15. He that has once done you a kindness will be more ready to do you another than he whom you yourself have obliged. Here's what that really means. People who have previously helped you are often more inclined to offer further assistance than those you have helped. This suggests a subtle psychological principle of commitment or self-perception. 16. Only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. As nations become corrupt and vicious, they have more need of masters. This quote reminds us that a free society can only thrive when its citizens possess strong moral character and integrity. When people become corrupt, they lose their capacity for self-governance and require authoritarian control. 17. Content makes poor men rich, discontent makes rich men poor. Here's what that really means. True wealth comes from being satisfied with what you have, regardless of your material possessions, while constant dissatisfaction can make even wealthy individuals feel impoverished. 18. They who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. This quote reminds us that those who are willing to sacrifice fundamental freedoms for short-term security will ultimately lose both, as true safety cannot exist without liberty. 19. There are 3 faithful friends, an old wife, an old dog, and ready money. Here's what that really means. This highlights 3 reliable companions in life: a loyal spouse who has stood by you, a devoted pet, and readily available cash for practical needs. 20. Without freedom of thought, there can be no such thing as wisdom, and no such thing as public liberty without freedom of speech. This quote reminds us that true wisdom cannot develop without the ability to think freely and explore ideas without constraint. And a free society cannot exist without the right to openly express those thoughts. 21. Genius is nothing but a greater aptitude for patience. Here's what that really means. Exceptional talent or brilliance often stems not from innate ability alone, but from an extraordinary capacity for perseverance, sustained effort, and tolerance for prolonged work. 22. Make yourself sheep and the wolves will eat you. This quote reminds us that if you are passive, weak, or easily exploitable, you will inevitably become a victim. It's a warning to be assertive and protect yourself. 23. If you would be loved, love and be lovable. Here's what that really means. To receive love, you must first offer love to others and cultivate qualities that make you appealing and worthy of affection. 24. He that falls in love with himself will have no rivals. This quote reminds us that someone excessively self-absorbed or narcissistic is unlikely to face competition for their own affection, humorously pointing out their self-centeredness. 25. The securest place is a prison cell, but there is no liberty. Here's what that really means. While a prison cell offers extreme security by limiting external threats, this safety comes at the complete cost of personal freedom, illustrating the trade-off between the two. 26. The best way to see faith is to shut the eye of reason. This quote reminds us that this suggests that belief or faith often requires suspending logical thought and critical analysis, implying a separation between rational understanding and spiritual conviction. 27. A place for everything, everything in its place. Here's what that really means. This promotes organization and order, suggesting that having a designated spot for every item and keeping things where they belong leads to efficiency and clarity. 28. The bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten. This quote reminds us that the negative experience of owning a shoddy product or receiving poor service lasts much longer than the initial satisfaction of getting a cheap deal. Quality ultimately matters more than cost. 29. Whatever you become, be good at it. Here's what that really means. No matter what path or profession you choose in life, strive to excel and achieve mastery in it. Dedicate yourself to doing your best. 30. Motivation is when your dreams put on work clothes. This quote reminds us that motivation is the point where your aspirations transform from mere ideas into active, tangible effort. It's the practical application of your goals. 31. To be proud of virtue is to poison yourself with the antidote. Here's what that really means. Taking pride in your good qualities or moral behavior undermines the very essence of virtue, as true virtue should be humble and not a source of self-congratulation. 32. It is hard for an empty sack to stand upright. This quote reminds us that it's difficult for someone lacking substance, resources, or character to maintain dignity, respect, or a strong position in life. You need substance to stand tall. 33. Without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. Here's what that really means. The concepts of betterment, accomplishment, and triumph are hollow unless there is an ongoing process of development and advancement. Stagnation negates these ideals. 34. Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. This quote reminds us that it takes no special intelligence or effort to simply find fault, judge negatively, or express dissatisfaction. True wisdom lies in offering constructive solutions or remaining silent. 35. It's better to swim in the sea below than to swing in the air and feed the crow, says Jolly Ned Teach of Bristol. Here's what that really means. This quote, attributed to a pirate, is a grim, gallows humor statement suggesting it's preferable to die at sea than to be hanged publicly and left for carrion. It's about choosing one's fate. 36. There are two ways to increase your wealth. Increase your means or decrease your wants. The best is to do both at the same time. This quote reminds us that you can become richer by earning more money or by desiring fewer things. The most effective strategy for building wealth and contentment is to pursue both simultaneously. 37. A man must have a good deal of vanity who believes, and a good deal of boldness who affirms, that all the doctrines he holds are true, and all he rejects are false. Here's what that really means. It takes extreme arrogance and audacity for someone to confidently claim that all their own beliefs are infallible truths, and all opposing viewpoints are entirely wrong. It cautions against intellectual dogmatism. 38. Don't cry over spilled milk. This quote reminds us that there's no point in dwelling on past misfortunes or mistakes that cannot be undone. It's a call to accept what has happened and move on. Thank you for spending this moment with the Mind Shelf. Let this quote stay with you, and may your day be filled with peace and purpose. If it stirred something in you, don't let it fade. Reflect, share, and let's grow together, one thought at a time. What does this quote mean to you? Share your thoughts below. Your words might inspire someone else today. If you'd like more gentle wisdom and soulful reflections, don't forget to subscribe and join our growing mindful community. And if you're watching this as you wind down, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and carry this wisdom into your dreams. Until next time, rest well.